All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jonathan Shirley. We're at the Lead Center. We're going to talk to Ben Johnson from Techneaux about culture. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that it's my wife's birthday. So here's the deal. Her cell phone number. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. That would be absolutely ridiculous. Her name is Taylor Shirley. If you can find her, tell her birthday.
That's awesome.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely. She had a tortilla-themed birthday.
Oh, wow.
Which included the
delicious.
present was a tortilla blanket, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
I saw one over the summer,
Yeah.
and over the summer I was like, "There's Taylor's birthday."
Yeah. I'm pretty
It
sure
was-
one of my
was-
daughters has a tortilla blanket.
I mean,
so they're comfy.
how can you not?
And
want-
stylish.
just absolutely wrapped in swaddling tortilla goodness. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Or not only that. Ben, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
And yeah, let's dive right in. I mean, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, but maybe we start with a little bit about Techneaux, how
Okay.
things got going, and then we'll jump into why culture matters there and how you did it.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm Ben Johnson. My company's name is Techneaux Technology Services. We started it in 2010 in my garage. Me and my brother Michael Johnson. It was a little weird. My wife was not happy. She was 3 months pregnant with our third daughter, and she was like, "You're doing what? You're quitting your job, and people are going to be at my house using my bathroom and drinking my coffee."
Perfect
And I was
timing.
like, "Yeah, I mean, why not?" 2010, housing crisis, everything else going on in oil and gas. Sure. But I was born and raised here in Lafayette. Well, born in Eunice, raised in Lafayette, Scott area. Grew up, went to UL, started in computer engineering there. Wasn't ready for college, and so went work offshore for a couple of years. Ended up graduating at Texas A&M.
Did college agree with you that you were not ready?
College
Like,
agreed.
was
Yes,
like,
they
"Yes,
took my
you were
scholarship
right.
away
You
from
are-
me, and they were
You are
like,
not
"You're
ready."
you're not ready for this, sir." Went to Texas A&M, graduated computer engineering over there. Was in Houston for a couple of years. Wanted to come back home when we had kids. So Techneaux started in 2010 in the garage, like I said, and we've grown it now to we're around 180-ish, 90-ish team members. Our headquarters are here in Lafayette. We've got 2 physical locations as well in Colorado and Commerce City and Westminster, and we just opened up this year an office in Midland, Texas. So
Nice.
we've been rolling along. We started off in what is enterprise SCADA, so it's big data for oil and gas. It was kind of niche.
Yeah.
And we also did control systems, which is process control and automation, taking things and putting devices and having it automated instead of a person having to turn a valve or start a pump or whatever, watch a tank. Devices and sensors do that for you. And then over the years, customers have asked us more for more help in other areas that we didn't know. We were like, well, we don't know how to do that, but we'll try. We'll give it a shot.
We'll try to
We'll find some
learn. We're never
people
going to
that
say
know
no.
it. So we've grown into several business units outside of just those 2. We now do industrial communications, which is, cell towers and satellite and communications out in the field, creating networks. We have an MSP portion of the company, which does traditional IT, break fix, help desk. And we also have a product, a software product team that we've developed. It's for transmitting data, kind of high frequency, high density data around an organization. So I'll stop there. That's a little bit about Techneaux.
Yeah, that could go for miles, but yeah.
Always, yeah.
But
on culture too. I mean, this could probably be like a 5-part made-for-TV miniseries. I mean, I can babble about this all day.
I'll be different roles, and you'll be
like,
I'll play the role of your brother at first. I think, I don't know. So just to dive into culture, for you, what does that mean? I mean, culture gets tossed around 1,000 ways, and so it's important, I think, that we set sort of a working definition for ourselves.
That's a great question. Whenever I think of culture, I think of the values and the belief system of the organization and the people. It's kind of what sets the attitude for the company and gives people sort of a litmus test for when they're working and they're doing their job as to how to make the right decisions. Because on the technical side of things, I think there's typically I'm kind of a math guy. I'm an engineer, right? And I love problem solving. And in that realm, it's kind of A plus B equals C, right? There's known equations, and you take it and you move with it. In business, though, as you start to expand into the people dynamics and the customer dynamics, and just as a service organization, answers always aren't as clear, right? So you need some guidelines and to help you understand. I'm in a gray area.
Yeah.
How do I make the best decision I can?
Yeah.
It's not always the right decision. There's typically not a right decision
Absolutely.
in some of these. There's no solution, only trade-offs, we like to say. So you got to figure out what's the pros of that decision, what's the cons of that decision, and what best aligns with your culture, your beliefs, your values.
And that was, it's so funny that you said that, because we did not talk about this ahead of time, but I've talked specifically with students in multiple places about using very much the color schematic of things. Like, your technical skills gives you the black and white answers. You know, I was talking to graphic design students over in Fletcher Hall yesterday. Like, hey, like, you're in industrial design. Like, it's all black and white. Like, either the thing you made works or it doesn't work. It's either durable, like it breaks or it doesn't break. But the moment you involve people, black and white goes out the window. Like, everything's gray. Mm-hmm. Everything is, well, maybe. Everything is, well, there's 5 right answers.
Yeah.
Well, now what? You know, like, and sometimes, because I have a little brother who's an engineer, I can say, like, and then engineer brain breaks whenever there's not like A plus B equals C, sort of like, when the simplicity of that is what I think attracts so many people to it. But then, like, it works until people are involved, because people make irrational decisions every single day. You know, eat things you shouldn't eat, drink things you shouldn't drink, buy things that you can't afford. Watch things that instead of watching this, you could have did this other thing. So we make decisions that, like, well, that doesn't serve your best interest. Why are you doing that? Because I'm a person. And then, but that's whenever I feel like there's magic in those spaces, because people are there. A plus B can equal F, because you included the right people and you got way farther than the equation should have allowed you to go. Mm-hmm. And that's where culture comes in. And that, you know, that's where culture says, hey, or whenever there's 5 answers, culture tells you which one your company should choose. Yeah. And it's obvious, generally. You want it to be obvious. You want it to be,
that's the toughest thing, is really reinforcing those values, the core of who you are. I think, as any parent knows, like, you can tell your kids as much as you want. Oh shit! You can tell your kids as much as you want the right thing to do. How they're going to learn, they're going to watch you. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I told you not to yell at your little sister. Oh, you're yelling at your wife 3 minutes later. You know, about something.
I'm yelling at you about not yelling at your sister. Like,
right. Yeah. So. There's a lot of different facets to creating the culture that your business needs, and that always starts with you as a leader. Yeah. Like, again, you can come up with these cool slogans and signs and all these things you put up around the office, but there's some companies where they're like, hey, safety first, and I know on every single screen there's a thing that says safety is number one priority, and it's all this, and then, sure enough, we're getting calls from their people at 2:00 in the morning because they were told to go out into the field in some unsafe environment. But hey, you gotta keep making us money, right? Because our cash registers are wrong. Well, safety really your number one priority? Yeah, probably not. Like maybe
safety when it's convenient, sure.
And so as leaders, you really have to make sure that whatever you've created for your business as an entrepreneur reflects who you are. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not comfortable doing that, and there's no alignment with your people and what you're saying should be done, and it's a lot of different facets, right? I mean, because there's nothing wrong with saying, like, hey, I want to create a company that is, fast paced. We're hard workers. For this is hustle culture, right?
Yeah, and we're here to make money.
And we are. Make sure you get the right people. Be honest. Be upfront, and so that way, when your people are working 18-hour days, they feel like, hey, I'm in the right place because this is what I want to do. Yeah. And this is how I'm going to be successful in my career.
Absolutely.
And
this the other day, so there are consulting companies out there, and to avoid naming names, there are consulting companies out there who, like, hey, they're sometimes involved in some kind of interesting stuff, but I would argue that they always were very direct with who they were. They all were. It was very clear. We will come in and we will help you make more money. You didn't say, how you wanted to make more money.
Yeah.
And so if we come in and lay off a third of your employees
Right.
and make everybody else work more, you will make more money.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, we did exactly what we said we were going to do. Now, if you wanted other stuff, well, we weren't the company for you.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, there are times where you can't get mad, and it's hard to get, whatever. Like, whenever people do tell you exactly who they are,
Yeah.
like sometimes sort of we think that like, oh, well, that company has a culture and therefore it's a good thing. Companies can have cultures that are not necessarily
the norm.
Yeah,
Because you can't call those good or bad,
yeah,
right?
that's a great point.
Really
Yeah.
If
like,
you found a collection of
honest.
people that
Yeah.
want to work the same way you want to work and have the same values that you have, I think that's what the majority of companies are looking for.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. No one's the
Yeah.
same. You hope you can resonate with people at a level that gives them an additional reason to want to be there at work. And, you know, we talk a lot about our why, and our why is to help people. We made it really simple. Our mission statement is we help customers succeed, we help each other succeed, and we help Techneaux succeed. There's nothing about being the top provider of this tech or that tech or whatever, because technology's changing all the time anyway.
Yeah.
And if you're focused on one piece, you're going to die.
You're going to get
company.
You're going to get past.
You know, so focus on something that anyone can relate to. I want to help people. I think naturally humans want to help people.
Absolutely.
You know, the majority of people in this world are good, even though you hear a lot of
Sure.
negative stuff that gets amplified. But the majority of people are good people. They want to see other people succeed. And when you can tell them, hey, because you're working in that spreadsheet for the next 6 weeks, you know,
you're actually helping
helping someone,
Yeah.
you know, and their business do better and their career and them do better. And you're learning at the same time. And so you take that why and you give them that belief and that attitude and that understanding of what they're doing. It doesn't become some boring, monotonous task that, oh, I'm slugging through this again. And sometimes it always will be. I mean,
like it's still
some tasks,
like
but
it's still
in the back of your head,
yeah.
if you can be like, hey, at the end of this, I helped somebody.
Yeah, there's something nice about
makes it
that.
a little
If
bit
you
easier.
can tap into someone's innate desire to help and therefore make it, I guess, I mean, as a company, you're sort of making it easier for them to help other people. Hey, listen, because I agree. I mean, I think that at our core, we want to be a part of things that are bigger than ourselves. Like whether that's, hey, communities or churches or families or companies, like we want to attach to something. We want to believe that there are things that are worth believing in. And I would argue that, like, even whenever it gets to, like, you know, the generational things, because I heard it whenever I was in that space where people were complaining about my generation, you know, I would always argue, like, we are down for getting on board. Like, we just have been lied to a lot. You know, because like we've just been,
kind of
you
sold
know,
one
like
picture.
absolutely. Well, like we have
painted.
been told, hey, listen, you're 13, and if you buy these shoes, like you're gonna dunk. You're going to get everyone who's going to think you're attractive for the rest of your life. Like that was how we were marketed to, and then it was like, oh wait, no, you're still not cool. You're just not cool with expensive shoes. Like, yeah, it's like we've just been lied to a lot. So yeah, we're pretty cautious about believing, but we want it absolutely. And I would argue that the generation now wants it, because whenever they start to see it, man, it's cool whenever they start getting excited about it. So,
well, this generation to me is in a much better position than I think mine was. I just was like, yeah, I have to work.
Yeah,
that's what an adult does when you adult.
Yeah,
you know, you get out of school and you get a career, and that's just what you do. Family and kids, and you don't second guess it. This generation doesn't take that stuff for granted. You know, they say, well, no, I'm going to think about this for myself. Is that really what I want to do?
Yeah. Is that
where I want to be? That is a big investment of my time. And time is a very limited resource, right? You can't make more of it, and you don't know how much of it you have.
Yeah.
And any business you're going to go to is making money off of your time.
Yeah. And
so you should ask for compensation for that extreme value you are bringing to any company.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the younger generations get that. They understand how valuable that is.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to just give it up to say, oh, well, no, I have to have a job. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's changing, I think, a lot of the corporate environment and how people have to respond.
Yeah.
And I think
because they're going to want to go be in spaces that value the fact that this is a trade-off, and that this is not easy. It's not an easy trade-off. It's not like, no, like I understand that you're thinking about it, so therefore I want to be respectful of that. You know, I want to make sure that, hey, one, we're a place that you want to come and spend that time, or at least if you're going to get paid, that you should come and get it paid doing that stuff here.
Yeah, there's a bidirectional mutual respect that I think hasn't existed for a long time. Because like, hey, you're lucky you can get this job.
Yeah,
you're lucky I am employing you.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
right?
Yeah,
Look at all these thousands of other people that need jobs. Right.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a balance to that.
So, culture. What did it look like whenever it was just you and your brother? You and your brother.
So I have
your
to,
wife's
I have
mad
to,
at everybody.
to be a little honest. It is my dad.
And dad.
But the running joke is that he was my brother, because when we would go on sales calls, they'd be like, the Johnson brothers are here, and I'd get pissed because I'm like, come on, man, I don't look. This dude looks like awesome. 40 years older than me. How are you saying we're brothers? And he loved it and ate it up. So it kind of became. It's a little bit of Techneaux lore, is that the brothers started, but it is my dad. So
okay.
Yeah. Whenever we started, we were
even more so then. I think that if it's a dad and a son, like, because outside of the garage where you worked, there's a dynamic that has already been in place for decades.
Yeah, no doubt.
but that can't be the same dynamic that walks into the garage.
Correct. Yeah, he was calling me Benjamin at work, and I was like, hey, when you call me Benjamin, it makes it sound like I'm getting grounded.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
call me Ben.
You can't ground me at my own company.
Yeah, like, this isn't cool, Dad. Like,
we're in a garage.
I'm going to call you
Michael.
Michael. You call me Ben. And anytime we're in the office, it's Michael and Ben. That's how it goes. No, we were pretty intentional early on around culture and wanting to create something a little bit different, especially on the financial piece, on the compensation. You and I have had a couple of discussions around our business model. And, I'm never going, one of the things is that we want people that put in the work to receive the value for the work that they get, right? The proper compensation. And I think some businesses have gotten away from that. So I'm never going to be a CEO that makes 300 times the average team member's salary. Just not going to happen. I don't have a big enough ego to think I bring that much value to the company any more than what the normal team member is. Obviously, there's some additional value.
Sure.
Started the
of course,
company,
you've got some
vision and a strategy, and so that deserves compensation. But that goes for anyone at the company.
Yeah.
And so right now we're at 12 owners. So there's it started off just Michael and I. But as we've grown, we wanted people to receive the value for what they were bringing to the company. And there's no, that had a big effect on me. And I think Michael at previous companies where you could only promote someone so far. And the corporate culture was like, well, no, they can't be at your level. Like, we only have one job description at that level of the ladder. You can't have two people doing that. It's like, well, they're doing all the same things I'm doing. Like, they need to be compensated fairly for the work. Well, once you move up or, move somewhere else, then they can move. And it's like, okay, that structure just seemed to add a lot of friction to people in their career and how
it
they
limits the growth of the company,
their opportunity of the individual and the company themselves. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So culturally, we were very on board. We call it distributed capitalism, where, those who do the work receive the value for doing the work, not just the few at the top. So that was kind of ingrained in our culture from the get-go. That was one of the big ones that we had. Financial security, we didn't go out and take big loans. We were very responsible. We have a lot of cash on hand to make sure we can take the ups and downs. We're not just growing just to grow.
Sure.
It's pragmatic and paced growth that we have. And that kind of sets the stage for people and their opportunities and how they grow within the organization. So having that set up kind of beforehand and a vision for what it was going to look like really helped a lot. And then we talk about our values. It's some of the same ones that a lot of companies have: respect and integrity and continuous knowledge building. And but I think we do a good job of ingraining it into our day-to-day processes. Where some
lots, when you end up in values, they're great words. I mean, like, so it's why so many companies will. I mean, respect is a great one. I mean, like, it's a great value, sure. It can look 100 ways. And so it's about figuring out, what does respect need to look like at Techneaux? Yeah. Not necessarily like, ooh, like that company has respect. Let's pull their respect and let's put it into our company.
Let's put it on a little sentence on the card
like,
that we have.
Exactly. We always talk about it.
And they can look at it every once in a while.
Exactly. Put it all, like, put your values, put them on the
You need
wall.
some of that.
Like,
but again, it's the action. And in our very first year, respect was one of those. and integrity, doing what you say you're going to do. We had a customer that was 76.7% of our revenue.
I remember this.
We had 11 people. They employed 9 of them. And they were very disrespectful to our people. We had several conversations with them. I talked with the person that was disrespectful. I spoke with his boss. I spoke with the company heads. It would change for a little bit, then it would just go back to a really toxic work environment for our people. And we sat them down in a room and we said, well, look, we expect these values from you. We also expect them from our customers. And so we're going to fire this customer because they're disrespectful to you. They've been disrespectful to our people and this job. And so that's going to be a big hit. The company may fold.
Yeah.
But everyone to a person said, nah, we'll figure it out, you know? And it was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And so we let him go. And that was an example of, hey, what is respect? Let's show you a real example of what it is. Man, this is what we're talking about. We got lucky that we had that opportunity to be able to prove to our people, hey, this is what we're about. And we do what we say we're going to do. And we don't only expect that of us. We expect that of the people that we work with.
Yeah. And by then, I think, to make that sort of decision, one, you include the other people in the decision, obviously. But then I guess it's not a shock that you were able to do that and then find more customers to sort of make everyone still have a job. Because there's an amount of there's an amount of banding together that happens whenever you if you're an employee and you have your employer go to battle for you, it becomes difficult to not see that as like, hey, like this is different, and that's to me it's beautiful. It's what's beautiful about culture is that it makes every place different, and it feels incredible to walk into a place, whether it's Techneaux or any other place that has a culture, and it just feels different. Where you go, oh, yeah, this isn't like other companies. And it's one of my favorite things about talking to entrepreneurs is that entrepreneurs, and you're super interesting, but I don't know why, and I want to keep in touch with you. I don't know why. There's no ulterior motive. It's just, okay. All right, well then, okay, cool. And I find that, for entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurship students, that becomes the thing that for me is like encouraging them to try and become is, hey, you want to be interesting. You want and I think cultures create spaces that are interesting. Yeah. Because you don't fully understand it at first, but which makes you want to be there more, so that you can kind of start to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've been working there for 20 years.
Well, be careful not to be interesting just for the sake of being interesting.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But I see a lot of
100%. Yeah. Who's like
fresh?
That's a great point.
Entrepreneurs coming up and they're interesting to be interesting. They've seen the LinkedIn posts. They've seen the the socials and all these guys are loud. They're interesting and people want to talk to them. It's not. So it's you always have to throw that.
Yeah. It's authentic. It's authenticity.
Gotta be authentic.
Authenticity.
Because people will sniff that out in a second.
Absolutely, yeah. Authenticity and interesting have to sort of walk hand in hand with one another. That's a great point. Yeah. So you started to grow, and so like as you started to add people, how were you able to, or what was the intentionality around? We're bringing you in. Understand what we're bringing you into. Not just like the role that you're playing, but you're coming into this company, and that means certain things that aren't on the job description.
Yeah.
And so I guess what was sort of that like, and how did it maybe change as you went from 2 to 10 to 20 to 100 to?
Yeah, that's a good question. Early on, small company coming up, and I'm the one doing all the interviews, right? So in those interviews, I'm expressing to them very directly what it's going to mean to work here, what they can expect, the pros and the cons. I would talk to them and say, look, we're both interviewing each other. You're trying to decide if you want to work at this place, and we're trying to decide if we want you to work here.
Yeah, the garage is only so big.
So we have to figure that out together, and you have to be upfront and honest, and be able to talk to that, just to let them know what they're getting into beforehand. And we've struggled with it as we've grown, obviously, because now it's not me doing the
whenever you're no
anymore.
longer interviewing.
You know, it's other people, and they're going through multi-stage processes because we have a lot of people now that want to work here, and, which is great. It's a good problem to have. It's like, yay. But there's now a little more stricter processes, and trying to remain who we are and what we know to be the good way or the techno way to do things.
Yeah.
You know, we've messed some things up. You know, we've missed out on communicating, or you know, things have fallen through the cracks, and we've grown into other businesses and states, and now we've got remote workers.
Yeah.
And, there's a vastly different way to keep a culture going when you've got people spread out that much, right? I mean, we were in our offices. You've been to just about all of them.
Yeah.
They're wide open, right? You want people to be able to talk and communicate, and and because of that, everybody was real close knit. They understood what their responsibilities were, and because it was word of mouth and it was kind of peers teaching them. And as you get larger, you still got that going on, but it's different groups. Yeah. And they started to create kind of their own cultures, which is good.
Yeah.
You want that creativity, but you have to make sure it still tests against.
But it's still,
hey, here's still within the parameters.
Yeah, this is the umbrella. These are the values that have to drop into all of your.
Yeah, and we call them principles versus practice. We've got principles that we can't violate. Practices, they can look different. As long as they're in line with the principles, like we have 6 different business units. As long as their practices are still fulfilling our principles, cool, go for it. It can look totally different from the other 6. Don't care. Yeah. You know, but as soon as those practices get outside of what our principles are, that's when we're going to have an issue. And we need to talk, and we need to sit down and say, hey,
we're going in a direction.
I think this is not in a place we're comfortable with. Yeah. And that's one thing. We've let some things get out of hand because we weren't really paying attention. As you're growing, there's so many things going on.
But it's also a piece of culture that, you know, I think it's why I just like nerd out about it, is that like you just can't, it's not a box you check, man. Like it's not like, yay, we cultured to, like we've done it, we've done culture. Right. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Let's go get more money. Like no, the second you're not doing culture stuff, culture starts to fall. Yeah. The second you're not, hey, principles, then practices start to get outside the principles. Correct. Like the second you're not, and so it has to be like every day, every moment, you know, like there's a culture solution. It's a great book on culture, and it talks about like every day your employees are either improving your culture or your culture is going down. Like there's no middle. Like it's just like up or down. Like that's it. Like every day it's either it's this or this, and therefore it's got to be.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing you learn as an entrepreneur early on, or for me, it takes a little bit, because you think, hey, no one else is going to do it as good as me, right? And then that's the technical side of it. Yeah. I think most entrepreneurs are technical in nature, and so they think no one can do it. But then there's also the cultural and being the interesting side of things. Yeah. It's like, hey, there's only so long that survives. Yeah. You know, that you talk about delegating things, you also have to delegate kind of the culture and who's going to carry that torch. And there should be multiple people, and hopefully everyone understands that, you know, and you can't be the only one, you know, that's the beacon, the lighthouse responsible for that. Yeah. Hopefully if you've got good people, you have to delegate those tasks just as you delegate the technical, the project management, the customer interactions. There's the cultural delegation as well. Yeah. The lighthouse analogy is interesting because, you know, if you are the only lighthouse, and think about it from a lighthouse standpoint, you know, a lighthouse that's off the coast of Maine means that you can only shine the coast around Maine, which means that that's as big as you'll ever get. Yeah. And so if you want to grow, you're going to need otherwise
a lighthouse.
Ships are crashing on the rocks over here.
100%. So you need a lighthouse in North Carolina. You need a lighthouse in Florida. You need a lighthouse in, you know, and each one of those lighthouses is another person who needs to be able to shine that light of culture on the spaces so that ships don't crash into the rocks. That's interesting. Is that, I guess, growing up, and maybe through jobs, like, you know, did you experience some things that sort of, hey, as you're going through, you're like, ooh, that's not, I don't ever do that again, or hey, I want to take some of their culture, and I want to maybe not take some of their culture, or the things that you maybe picked up along the way, or places that you were, or places even, or teams, or whatever. I feel like that's
Yeah.
what's beautiful about culture, is that it's not just where you work. It could be teams you were on. It could be teachers you had. It could be culture is such an interesting
Well,
thing.
shocker, as a computer nerd, I didn't really get into sports.
That's crazy.
So,
wait a second.
I do enjoy tennis now.
There you go.
And pickleball. That's in my realm.
Pickleball, what a culture. That's another discussion. Like,
yeah. Honestly, probably my very first job at McDonald's. I worked there for 2 years. Working in the back, flipping burgers and cleaning, and then got to the register up front, and then drive through, and then eventually was going to become manager, and ended up leaving at that point because I was like, okay, this is turning into a career. I need to, I need to expand my horizons and see other things. But that aspect, I thought they did a really great job with their processes and procedures. Obviously, the franchising thing, McDonald's is well known for that.
Exactly.
But the team aspect of it, I thought was really neat, and experiencing that where before I hadn't had the opportunity to really. It was like everyone was kind of working in harmony, and if you didn't communicate well and you weren't kind of talking with the other pieces, then you were adversely affecting someone else's job because you weren't doing yours. And that was kind of a new concept for me. Like, it was always I only affected myself from 15, before I was 15. And now I'm 15-year-old working at McDonald's, and it's like, oh no, you're having an impact on someone else's career.
Yeah.
And you don't really think about it at the time, but looking back,
of course not.
It's like, yeah, that's what that was. That was that itch. That was that, that kind of idea or that spark that motivated me or got me to do certain things. And so that collaborative environment I really enjoyed, and found that was something throughout my career that I always kind of chased. I didn't like to be stuck away in an office and told, hey, you're solely responsible for this one thing, and you
just
can't get help from anyone else.
You're not touching anything else.
And I love leadership and mentoring and people that would talk with me, and having that personal aspect to work. So those cultures really, I enjoyed that. And then the reverse, I've gone probably a little overboard in my hatred for corporate America. And it's not a hatred. I'm going.
Yeah, it's okay.
There's a reason you have corporations are doing the same thing. A lot of them is because it's a proven process, and it makes sense for a good business.
Financially, it makes sense.
Now they're implementing it like shit.
Exactly.
But it's a good thought, and so there are things you can take from that and say, okay, we're going to do it our way though, and we're going to make sure that it's not against our culture or our values to implement it this way. So those corporate ladders or those things that the way they do compensation that I wasn't really happy with. We just said, okay, let's make sure we don't do that.
Just do it a little bit differently. Well, and so many things ends up being so similar from corporation to corporation to corporation to corporation. Culture is how you differentiate. In many ways. I mean, like, there are only so many ways that you can do stuff with data. Now, we can argue about, hey, like with AI, you can do more things, whatever. But you're still doing things with data. So culture is where you can differentiate. And again, like, what I love about it is that it's the thing that it's very difficult for you to steal someone's culture. Like, I can go to Techneaux and learn your processes, and I can learn how you do stuff, and I can be like, well, I'm going to start Tech Bro, and like, we're going to be and we're going to do it.
We'll have an open office. We'll have food throughout the entire. We'll have games.
We'll start Sign Wars. Like, we'll do like all the things, right? Like, we won't listen to Coldplay. Like, all the things that we won't like, we'll do. But I can't take your culture.
Yeah,
I can't take that. And so it's sort of that your best competitive advantage, and which makes it interesting whenever places maybe seem like they don't emphasize it as much. I always wonder, it's like, I feel like you're missing that chance to really differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
And do something that other people can't copy.
Right.
But
a lot of work, though.
So much work. Like, why isn't culture easier? Like,
it is.
Like, wouldn't it be so much easier?
It's just the human aspect of it,
Yeah.
And I think people get uncomfortable with that. You're not really taught that because there's just such a different dynamic with every individual and every organization. Those are the tough things to write books on. You can write about how to have a quality MSP. You can write about how to configure SQL servers the right way, and you can talk about how to program a PLC or be a field guy and put up communications. But when it comes down to it, that piece, it's just not easy.
Yeah.
And it does take work.
Yeah.
And again, as critical I think as it is for a perpetual business,
Yeah.
for one that's going to outlast and maintain, that's not what the corporate environment is about these days.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
it's
not.
like, what's
It's
my
about
exit
pump and
strategy?
dump,
Like,
right?
yeah.
It's typically about, hey, what's going to make the most money for the owner, and I'm going to show that hockey stick EBITDA, and then I'm peacing out. So
Yeah.
I don't need a good culture.
Yeah.
I need people to come in that I can work, and we can show some good numbers, and then I'm out,
Yeah,
and
that's
I'll
a
let
great
somebody
point.
else figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's not, while absolutely for our type of business where we'll
Yeah.
never go public, we'll never be sold, and we want it to be perpetual.
And you want to last as long as
we
possible.
knew that,
Yeah.
going in.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything against, honestly, companies that don't focus on culture, because I can see, I see what you're trying to do here. You want to hurry up and exit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Go make another 10 businesses.
Yeah, then go and
I'm
spin
not a
off
serial
and do something
entrepreneur.
else, spin
I
off.
don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to give someone a job for more than 3 years.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to be around for longer. And yeah, I mean, scientist James Carse talks about infinite mindset versus finite. So it's game theory. So it's infinite game versus finite game. And so many corporations are in finite game. Hey, like there's clear guidelines. We know exactly who the players are. There are very specific rules, and there will be an ending to the game.
Yeah.
There's a end in mind, and that's how they operate. But as opposed to, if I take an infinite game, the point is to play as long as possible.
Right.
Like that's the point. And players are going to come in and out, and rules are going to be there, but they're more like guidelines because they may have to shift a little bit, depending on what happens later. But hey, listen, if I know that we're playing this as long as possible, I can't burn bridges.
Yep.
I can't screw people over. I can't, because what if I need that later? Because what if I need that relationship, and what if I want to continue to build this thing? So I can't just say like, screw this, man. We're shutting down this Lafayette location. The people are terrible, and we don't like the food, and let's get out of here. But what if 30 years later we're like, oh, we missed this big opportunity. Yeah. Let's try to. Well, we've already.
Man, this Lafayette Tech Council came in and blew up,
and all of a sudden they saved everything. The whole place was burning to the ground, and Lafayette Tech Council came with the water hose of inspiration.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
and you have to understand that as an entrepreneur. What is it that you're trying to get out of your business? And understand your why, and stick to it. Be true to that.
Do you feel like? There's a couple different things. Like, do you feel more companies are opening or operating with that, hey, we're trying to get out mindset? Like, does that feel different right now? Or am I just looking for something that's not really there? Does it seem like, because it's hard to say. As we look at a space where there are seemingly more and more entrepreneurs, or the idea of side hustles, the idea of you've got a generation of people who come in who don't just want to do one thing. They have one job, but they have this hobby that they kind of like to turn into something else, or they need to just to live. And so I'm curious if there's not a what happens.
I think it's more pervasive.
Here?
I think that's what people are being taught. And that's what they see. That's how they define success. They see these big, massive exits by entrepreneurs, and that's what gets the headlines. That's what everybody wants to talk about. And how did you make your $1 billion or whatever it was? And, on a valuation on a company that's actually only been profitable like maybe 1 year out of 10, but hey, they showed some great growth. Forget if you're actually making money.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what's been highlighted. That's what's been emphasized, and hopefully companies like Techneaux, the ones that want to be around for a while, we start to get our run and our play, and people start to show that as a measure of success. Not just how much money did you make, how quickly did you exit, how many businesses have you made and bought and sold and moved, but. I think how many lives have you affected in a positive,
Sure.
To me, that's a much better
Absolutely.
KPI.
Yeah.
Tougher to track
Yeah.
for sure.
The survey's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen any change or anything that as you've gotten, because Techno, being a tech company, I feel like you are connected to more younger generations that are like, hey, like they understand the newer tech typically.
Mhm.
That's a broad paintbrush, but like they are understanding new tech faster, and so you're hiring newer generations. I think maybe quicker than a company that maybe
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
Else, but so like
engrossed in the
what
tech from
does
such a young age.
what does culture look very vastly different? I mean, as you've got these younger folks coming in, are they do they still attach themselves to it? Do they still
Yeah,
is
again,
there
I
anything
think
you
I
kinda
think you
see?
spoke a little bit to that earlier in that, the younger generations understand the value of their time much better than
Yeah.
my generation did.
Yeah.
And so there is a distinction in the culture and how you
Mhm.
work. And look, some people, some people have not taken the job because they're like, I can't work in this type of environment. I'm like, cool, thanks for being honest.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get that.
That's a good point.
It's not everybody can't do this. I mean, we've had people that are like, I cannot work in an open office environment. Just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. Even if you put on headphones or whatever, they're still like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's
Too
like,
many other
hey,
people,
bro,
too many distractions.
I feel
too
it.
many whatever.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
Hmm.
And then from the culture standpoint, it's, yeah, again, you've got your principles and you've got your practices. And I
Yeah.
think if you can mix and match the practices to kind of conform to whichever maybe generation, or even in our sense, the different business units have different profit models.
Yeah.
Vastly different. Some are commoditized, some are innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a product company is a much different than a services based company, but we've still found a way to kind of build a culture that may be slightly tweaked.
Yeah.
For the different individuals that are experiencing it.
Yeah.
But again, if your principles are solid enough and they're I don't want to say generic, but they're kind of a bigger a bigger value there, then you can fine tune it.
Yeah, and I guess if you put those principles into the ground and say this is who we are, you'll also generally attract people who want that.
Yeah.
Like they may go along through the process and be like, you know what, I didn't think I did that, but if you're in a space where you have 4 or 5 candidates who are all applying for the same job, the one you end up with is probably the one who was attracted to the principles, because from the tech side, they probably have really similar skill sets. The skill set is generally probably not going to be vastly different. It becomes, okay, well, like, how do you fit in here? And where does it?
I think a lot of companies do. Like a lot of the times, what businesses are doing isn't rocket science, but what has established their value proposition to their customer is innovative in a sense. So it's kind of niche, and you're going to bring in people, and it's going to be like, hey, you may know how to do this already, but we're going to teach you our way to do it. And so you're already going to have to invest a lot of time in training and resources and mentoring and tools for these people. And so culture is a big, like, okay, if we're going to get them to that, like you said, I can hire for tech all day.
Yeah.
But if someone's really going to thrive and succeed in your environment, your business, you need to make sure that they get that side of it as well, because you're going to have to teach them the technical, more than likely.
That's not going to be,
or at least some aspect of it.
Yeah, that's going to be a part of it. Video studio audience, any questions for Mr. Ben Johnson? Elizabeth Chavis like Davis is here. I don't know if she has any questions.
We actually met here. That was.
I know, that's what I loved. That like she was here.
So cool that she showed up. Yeah.
And then came back.
You don't have to come up with one.
You don't have to come up with one, but you're here, so I want to give you that option if you want. I can ask one more question and you can think about it.
Probably already answered it, but are there any barriers
to no, that's a great question. And one of the things that that was tough to identify over the years is having like a toxic person at your company. It's so easy for one individual to tear down a lot of what you've built, and it takes a long time to build it back up. So you have to really be aware of those and have conversations very quickly when you see it, because and you feel those kind of things in your gut. It's almost like it's not one of those things that you can just tell right away, but you'll start seeing some changes in the way people speak or the way they're acting and the way they look and just the way they're coming into work. And it's like, okay, I need to talk with that person before it gets out of hand. So that can have some major impact to your culture, because it is, as a business owner, you have to think of the greater good of the company, right? And sometimes you have to make those tough decisions like, hey, this person. Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, because it's not like companies is the only place where you see that. Yeah, school is a great example. That one kid, is absent that day, and like everything seems brighter, and that was usually me. And then I would come back, and people are like, "Oh, Jonathan's back."
Uh-huh. Some of there was spurts. There was definitely spurts. In the beginning, we grew pretty quick, and we kind of hit a barrier, and it was like, okay, it's just me. Like I can't. We can't just tack on more people. Like I got to learn how to delegate. I need to learn technically how to do some different things, and I've got to train up our people and get them into roles, because you can't move up in your opportunities unless you have someone to kind of backfill your responsibility. So there was a growth spurt till Michael and I were the limiting factors of it, and we said, okay, let's work on more people, and then we had a growth spurt until the limiting factor was our processes and our organizational infrastructure, and that was around, like, that first one was probably around 25, 30. The second one was probably around 80, 90 people. And so we really shored up our back office processes and the framework for the way that we do business. And then we accelerated it up to where we are now. Yeah, we tackled that in-house. And so it was, it's tough to make some of those decisions, because you have to say, okay, that person that is very profitable for us right now, but we need them to, come up with a way to put those processes and pieces in place so that we can scale. So stop working, stop making us money, and go and do this. And it's like, whoa, that's scary, but that's reinvestment in the company, right? And you have to. There's years where you're just going to have reinvestment years. We have a very robust profit sharing plan as part of our distributed capitalism piece, but we're upfront and honest. I was like, hey, y'all, we weren't this profitable this year because we've reinvested in the company. And hopefully you're going to see in these next few years that we're growing because of it. But because it gets really expensive to bring in external people to do it. And then you have to teach them about who you are and how you do things so that they can properly define it. We've tried that. Yeah, just bite the bullet. Yeah.
It's a great point, because you can go faster because you don't have to train the incoming hired out consultant company or whatever on who you are. Like, you've got people who already know who you are. Right. We just need more systems to have more of us. Right. Yeah. To do more work.
Yeah. And then having everyone understand and setting expectations that when you do that, it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah,
I'm asking a technical person to come in and write processes and procedures for our project execution management. It's like, we're going to struggle with that. We're not going to do that right. Yeah. But
you hired a bunch of engineers and you were like, we should manage people.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we don't do that.
And we call Techneaux a big experiment. I was like, hey, we're going to try it, but feedback and communication is one of our values, and we expect people to come back and say, "Hey, you're screwing this up. Like this doesn't work for me. Like you're hindering my job," or "Man, that process really sucks." Okay, cool. Let's change it. Nobody's too egotistical to say it can't be changed. So, you know,
The giant experiment aspect is interesting. The term that I'm reading about recently, anti-fragility, and so like wine glasses are fragile. Hey, glass falls, glass breaks. Plastic is durable and resilient. You know, it falls, it bounces up and down. But things that are anti-fragile require breaking to be stronger, and so it requires dents. It requires failure. It requires, and so like kids are anti-fragile. Like, or you seek them to become like businesses. I feel like businesses and ideas are anti-fragile. They have to be played with. They have to be like, oh, this didn't work, and so that's how we ended up. But had you never screwed it up,
I've never heard of that terminology.
You would have never gotten this other piece. And I mean, it has stemmed out of basically child psychology research, but the being able to apply it over to businesses is like, oh man, this is a perfect way to continue to try and convince people to try and screw up, and then you're closer to wherever you're supposed to be.
Oh yeah, we've had plenty of opportunities
for
growth, you know. And I think I have seen this somewhere. I think it's in Japanese culture, maybe. Like if something breaks, they actually fill the cracks with gold, and so it beautifies it or whatever. And it's like, you know, so that's what I was thinking of when you said kind of it requires breaks to become.
I should do that with the walls that my kids are banging on.
Right? Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is just.
Hey, no, that gives it character. Let them draw. Let them face print in the sheetrock.
It's volleyball dents right now on all of my walls. Just volleyball dents. Yeah, great. Okay, well, hey, listen, thank you. Like, great to converse. Like, I've been wanting to talk to you about something, but I didn't know what it was. And then at some point, we talk about culture, and I was like, oh, perfect. So
glad to chat.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
It's always fun.
Everyone, thank you for watching or watching later or listening later or doing whatever you're doing. Ben Johnson is from Techneaux. He's one of 75 owners of Techneaux, but is also in the Lafayette Tech Council.
Yes, I'm the chair.
And so that is doing some cool stuff too. So that's about it. All right, we'll have more culture-focused conversations. We're going to make this a bit of a series of sorts, and so we're going to mess around and talk to some other people in different industries about culture and how it was created and what it looks like, and we'll go from there. All right, I'm going to walk over here and press this finish button.